Hi there. If you're watching this video, you are interested in discovering what the other 50% of fitness is. Chances are that you've dabbled in fitness programs before, you've had some success, but then you usually fall off the wagon. And that's really, starting that program is only 50%. The other 50% is sticking with it long term, because you'll see results in the short term, but you'll only keep those results if you can keep going. So we're going to talk about, number one, how to get started. I mean, some of you already know this stuff, but hopefully I'm going to give you some tips today about ways to get started in a better way that's going to set you up for long-term success when we get to the second part, which is how to stick to your plan long-term. So again, what we'll talk about today: how do we get started with a fitness plan? What are some key things to look for to make sure that you're picking the right program for you and making sure that you're setting yourself up for long-term success? And then we're going to talk about how to keep going with that fitness plan, which is the other 50% of developing your fitness program. Starting it is not just the only thing you have to do. You have to keep going with it, because fitness is a lifestyle change. And then at the end, we're going to talk about how to take action on these things today, how to create your plan, make sure that you have what you need to do to get started today. So let's get going. First of all, my name is Amanda Gonzalez Barone. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm the owner of Girl Fight Fitness. I've got some basic resume information on here in case you're curious. Bottom line is I've been fitness training for several years. I've got a whole bunch of certifications, and I regularly work with hundreds of women trying to achieve long-term fitness. That is what I do, and that's my goal. So first, let's talk about some legal stuff, because anytime we get into health and fitness and talking about those things, we have to kind of go over the disclaimers. So today's discussion includes what works for most of the people I encounter, and there's always individual differences. There's a lot of things that can determine that. Sometimes health or medical issues, some people have gastric bypass, things like that. So the things I'm going to talk about are general guidelines that apply to like average people who are looking to just get into shape, who don't really have many underlying medical issues or ones that are going to dramatically change their fitness and weight loss results. You should always consult a physician before starting any exercise or diet program to make sure it's safe for you. And the results are not guaranteed or similar for everyone. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to see similar or different results depending on who they are, depending on their age, genetics. We'll get into all that, but I just want you to know, just because one person lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks doesn't mean you're going to lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks. Everybody's different. And everything will not work for everyone. If you think about why there's so many things out there, it's because there's not one magic thing. If there was one magic thing, there would be one workout that everybody did because it would work 100% of the time. All right, so let's talk about the first part, which is how to get started. So that I've included a photo of me. That's actually me when I first started deciding that I needed to make a change and get into shape. Some people are like, who is that person? And that's not you. Yes, it is. So I just kind of wanted to say that everybody has a starting point. I also wanted to show you that I know where you're coming from. I've not been fit my whole life. It was something that I had to learn, because as soon as the teenage metabolism slowed down and I got to the point where I couldn't eat everything I wanted and do nothing, I had to figure out the healthy way to adapt my diet, adapt my exercise, and make sure that I was on the right path to fitness. So our first step is goal setting, and that's something that people sometimes don't think about. They just have kind of an arbitrary idea in their head. I want to lose some weight. I want to get more fit. I want to be able to do push-ups. I want to be able to do pull-ups. I want to be able to keep up with my kids. But we want to get more specific. We want to identify what your why is. So what is the reason why you want to get into shape? And that's very important, because you need to make sure you are doing this for you and nobody else. You need to make sure that what you're doing, this change, is going to be positive for you. The reason you're doing it is to better yourself, because if you're doing it for a spouse or a family member because someone's telling you need to lose weight, or because you're trying to fit in somewhere, it's not going to last long. You need to make sure that this is your decision, because nobody is going to be calling these people who are trying to get you to lose weight. They're not going to be calling you at 5 o'clock in the morning to get you out of bed to make sure you're going to your workouts. That's going to be on you to do. They're not going to be making sure that you are driving from work immediately to the gym to make sure you're getting your workouts in. That is on you. So you need to make sure this decision is coming from the right place. And then the other thing is setting goals that are SMART goals, and that's an acronym right there. So I want to go over what that means in detail, because like I said, we have general goals: losing weight, dropping X number of pounds, getting toned, things like that. But that's not really specific. And if we kind of pick an arbitrary goal, chances are we might not hit that goal because we don't develop a specific plan for that specific goal. So Speaking about specific, the S in SMART means specific. I'm going to lose 10 pounds of body fat. Notice how specific that is. It's not, I'm going to lose weight. Well, how much weight? And then weight, do you mean muscle? Do you mean, bone tissue? What do you mean? Do you mean fat? So let's be specific. 10 pounds of body fat. Next, it has to be measurable. How are you going to measure that progress? It's nice to say, I'm just going to lose 10 pounds, but if you don't know if you're on track, it needs to be something you can measure. Like when we said, I'm going to lose weight. Well, how much weight? So making sure you have a measurable goal. But when you're setting that measurable goal, you have to make sure it's achievable, as in I am physically able to lose 10 pounds. So let's say you are pretty close to your goal weight. Let's say you're like a bodybuilder, you're super fit, and you have like 5% body fat. Is it realistic that you're going to be able to lose 10 pounds? Probably not, because you're already so close to where you need to stay to be in a super healthy way as you are. So you have to make sure it's something achievable. For example, I wouldn't set a goal saying, I'm going to be a professional basketball player. I'm 5'2". That's not an achievable goal for me. So I need to make sure that there are also reasonable goals. So I set my goal at 10 pounds, not 100 pounds, So now, not to say 100 pounds, you couldn't lose that in a very long term, but when we set a time frame, let's say you want to lose that 10 pounds in 3 weeks. You can't lose 100 pounds in 3 weeks in a healthy way. So, except for surgery, there's a trainer joke that says, what's the quickest way to lose weight? And the answer is amputation. It's kind of morbid, but, the fast method of weight loss is not really the most effective or the most healthy. So you want to be reasonable when you set these goals and make sure that you're setting them according to what is healthy for you, healthy for your body, and also realistic. And then you also want to be, have something that is time-based, meaning that I want to hit my goal in X number of days. Or if you set the goal, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, well, do you want to lose 10 pounds over the course of a year? Or do you want to lose 10 pounds in the course of 21 days? Because your approach for each of those is going to be very different. If you have a year to lose 10 pounds, you're going to be able to be a little more liberal with your diet. You're going to be able to have less workouts. If you have an aggressive plan where in 3 weeks you want to lose 10 pounds, you're definitely going to have to nail the nutrition on point consistently. You're definitely going to have to make sure you're hitting all your workouts. So the way you attack these goals is very different depending on what these elements are. So make sure they are specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-based, okay? All right, so also, when we get into setting up our fitness plan, we need to understand what I like to call some fitness truth bombs. And these are things that are common misconceptions, things that we might not be aware of, or we just kind of need someone to tell us point blank the way it is. So first, let's talk about the difference between weight loss and fat loss. Muscle weighs more than fat for the same physical volume. If you imagine a baseball, and then you imagine a Nerf ball of the exact same size, the baseball is clearly heavier, and then the Nerf ball is clearly lighter, but they both take up the same amount of space. That's the way you can think of muscle and fat in your body. So the baseball is muscle and the Nerf ball is fat. Take up the same amount of space, but muscle weighs more than fat for the same volume. Muscle, however, is good because it gives your body shape, and it's also working tissue, meaning that it is burning calories for you. The more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you burn when you're at rest. Not only that, but you're stronger, you're healthier, your body can move more efficiently. It's very good for you. So we don't want to lose weight at the expense of losing muscle, because that's not going to be good for our body. We want to focus primarily on fat loss. So that's why when we do this, it's going to be a slow process. And I'm going to say that again. It is going to be a slow process, and I'm really sorry, but that's just the way our bodies work. In order for it to work long term, we have to be patient. Think about it this way. You did not gain 10 pounds from one bad meal. You're not going to lose 10 pounds from one workout. Okay? Nutrition is king. You cannot out-exercise a bad workout. You need to make sure your eating is on your side if you're talking about losing fat. I can only think of the hundreds of times I've heard people say, my scale's not moving, I work out like a beast, and nothing is happening. And then my first question to them, honestly, is how's your eating? How's your nutrition? Because that is usually the number one culprit. And another myth that I just kind of want to get off your plates right now is that there is no such thing as spot reduction. So everybody will come to me saying, I just want to tone up here. I just want to lose this belly. I just want to tone up under my arms and get rid of the flab. You cannot target one specific area of your body and say, I just want to lose weight there, under the arms, under the belly. You have to think of your body fat like a lake in your body, the way it works. And if you were to drain a lake, which means, the same thing as draining your body fat, there are deep ends and shallow ends. So in order to tap into the deep ends, you have to first drain the shallow areas. You can't just stick a hose in the deep end of the lake and say, I'm just going to drain the deep end and leave the shallow area alone. You have to tap into the shallow area first, drain the lake progressively before you can hit those deep areas. So what do I mean by deep areas of body fat? I mean usually on women, the thighs, the butt, the little pooch area under the belly button, and under the arms, the second wave that everybody talks about. But that is what I'm talking about in terms of your deep areas. It's different for everybody, but generally speaking for women, those tend to be the common deep areas. Now, you can't just focus on those and leave everything else the way it is. And that's one of the number one reasons people get discouraged, that they start a new program and they think, okay, I'm not getting the results I want. I want to lose weight in my tummy and I'm not seeing it, I'm not seeing it. But meanwhile, their face is getting leaner, their torso is getting leaner, their waist is trimming down. Those are things that are happening, and they just got to hold on a little bit longer in order to see the change where they want to. But what's happening is they're not seeing the changes they want in the time frame they want. And instead of being patient so that they can get there, they give up because it's not working for them. So think of that. There's no such thing as spot reduction. You need to drain the lake, and the lake is your body fat. Okay, so let's talk about finding a program, a gym, or an activity. The key thing is you have to find something that you're going to stick with long term, because it doesn't matter if it's a great program and gives great results. If you hate it, if you dread it, you are not going to stick with it and do it. And that's the bottom line. This has to be something that is a lifestyle change. If you're not sure what to start with, try lots of different things. Try everything. It's almost like, I like to say, it's like finding a job. Sometimes you have to try lots of things to find what you don't like in order to find something you do like. And the same is true with fitness. You might try Zumba, you might try yoga, you might try Pilates, you might try HIIT, you might try Tabata. These are all different kinds of workouts. Find what you like that you enjoy, and it might be different things. You might want to mix it up. You need to discover your fitness personality. That's something I like to tell people, because everybody has a different personality. Everybody has a different fitness personality too. The people who are really into CrossFit, probably not going to be big Zumba people, Zumba people, they're probably really not going to like, gymnastics, or maybe they will. There are always exceptions, but I'm just saying that there are different veins of exercise, and you have to find what strikes a chord with you, that you find, okay, this is activity that I can do. It might not even be quote-unquote exercise. It might be hobbies or active sports, or pick up volleyball or something like that. A good starting point for any exercise or physical activity is 2 to 3 days per week for someone who's totally sedentary. 3 days a week is pretty average. That's what I usually recommend for people who are getting started or giving their fitness a kick in the butt. 2 days a week is for something who are really, really out of shape, never done anything in like years, really need to ease their way into any kind of program. And like I said, it doesn't have to be the same activity. You don't have to do the same workout 2 to 3 days a week. You can mix it up. You can do something as long as you're moving your body and getting your heart rate up there and having a good time. That's the key. So when you're getting started, look for offers. Because that's the easiest way to get going and try things at a low cost. You look for free trials. Is the gym down the road giving you a free week's membership? Coupons, a lot of coupons in like the Penny Savers or the coupon booklets that get mailed out there. Google, Yelp, those are good resources. They're also great resources for customer reviews. So if you're looking for testimonials or just seeing what your gym is about that you're looking to get into. Groupon and Living Social also have great deals sometimes where you can go on there and try different gyms around you and see what works. Facebook and social media is huge too, because a lot of gyms now are posting offers and ads on Facebook and other social media like Instagram and Twitter. On top of that, you're also going to be able to get access to reviews, and you're going to see what the culture is like, what the customer experience is like. Those are things that are going to be important to help you decide where to go. And if you're ever had any doubts or have questions, don't be afraid to call the gym and talk to somebody who's there, because just talking to somebody on the phone about your goals and what you're looking for can make a big step in making you feel comfortable with going there and determine if that's the right place for you. All right, but wait, what's the best type of workout? Something that people ask all the time. I want to get into shape. I want to get fit. What is the best type of workout for that? And the answer is anything you will stick with. There is no universal answer. Anything you can stick with long term, that is the best type of workout. Another common question I get, what's the best time to work out? And you can probably guess what I'm going to say. Anytime you'll do it. Don't get all hung up in, oh, I got to do this type of workout because it's the only one that burns body fat this quickly, or if you hate it and you won't keep up with it, there's no point. This is about improving your life. It's not about hating your life. You need to do something that's going to keep you strong, but also something that you find the benefit in doing. And you have to find the time to do it too. So if I don't care, some magazines say first thing in the morning, some say afternoon is the best time to work out. The bottom line is anytime you can fit it into your schedule, that is the perfect time to do it. Keep it simple. Do not get wrapped up in these details. Find an activity, schedule it, and do it. All right, so it's not just about working out. It is also about nutrition. Like I said, if you don't have your nutrition in line, you are not going to see the results that you want to see. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. And by far, the number one culprit when people complain that they can't lose weight is because their nutrition is not in line with their physical goals. It amazes me how hard people will work in the gym and then just undo it with one bad meal after the workout is over. What works is different for everyone. So keep that in mind, that just because someone is following low carb and somebody's following Atkins and somebody is following gluten-free, it doesn't mean that that's going to work for everyone. You think about all the different diets that are out there: paleo, 21-day fix, zone, South Beach, all these diets, and there's diet programs, Nutrisystem, Slim Fast, all these things with potions and powders and prepackaged meals. If one thing worked for everybody, there would just be one option. So keep that in mind, that there's not one magic diet that will get you to your goals. You have to just clean up your eating. Focus on small, long-term, maintainable changes, because over the course of a year, if you make small changes that you can maintain over that year, you're going to be in much better shape than if you swear off carbs and can only sustain that for 3 weeks and then go off the rails and eat every cookie in the house. There are 3 beginner keys when we're talking about getting involved in nutrition. Number 1 is food logging. Number 2 is portion measurement. And number 3 is reading nutrition labels. And honestly, those are the 3 biggest things you can do to get in touch with your nutrition and improve your fitness. Food logging will give you the tools you need to see what your current status is in terms of what you're eating, what you're drinking, what your daily consumption is like, what your habits are. Portion measurement is important too, because not all of us know what one serving of pasta looks like. And I bet you if I showed you, okay, I want you all to cup one hand and look at what's inside there and realize that if you filled that with pasta, that would be 100 calories worth of pasta. And that is really sad, isn't it? And I'm Italian, so I know that's sad. So that is something that we don't usually think about. Another thing is reading nutrition labels, because you need to be able to see what's in the food. Not just the nutrition labels, but what's in the ingredients. Also, what's the serving size? That's a sneaky one that sometimes people put in there. You look at like a candy bar or a bottle of soda and you're like, oh, it's only like 120 calories. But then they sneak in there like, per serving, this container has 2.5 servings or something like that. So keep that in mind. Be aware of what your eating habits are, be aware of what you're eating, and be aware of how much you're eating. But this is a common thing that I get. I don't want to measure and log. I just don't want to do it. It's a pain in the butt. It sucks. But this is how we track results. It's cause and effect. it's basic science. Like it's like an experiment, really. What you're doing is you're experimenting with your body. You need to determine what you're doing and what the effects of that are. You can't just arbitrarily assume because you're not going to be able to do it accurately. Also, many people just don't know how much they're eating. They just don't know, and they might think they have a good handle on it, but then when they actually have to sit and track down every morsel and every drop that goes down their throat, they see, oh, I'm picking off my kids' plates. Oh, I'm going to the candy dish at work about 5 times a day. These are things that I didn't think about, but they are adding significant calories to my daily intake. If you think about it, how can you know if you're eating too many or too few calories if you don't know how many you're eating in the first place? When you put it like that, it just makes sense. You need to adjust based on the results or lack thereof. So, if you know that you need to eat 1,300 calories a day and you log and you're eating 1,500 calories a day, because you log that you need to drop 200 calories a day in order to see the results you're looking for. Those are things, and that's just an example. That's not a rule that I would say everybody should follow. I'm just, picking an example out of thin air that you need to know what your starting point is, and then you need to watch how your body changes according to the changes that you're making, and then you need to adjust it. If you're lightheaded and you're not losing weight, you need to probably eat something because your body's probably going into starvation mode. If you want to discover how your body reacts, you need to measure what you're putting into it. That is basically the bottom line. And remember, it's science. Like I said, science is an exact thing. It's measurable. You would not be in a lab and just winging experiments and just saying, oh, that looks about right, okay. You need to really focus and measure. It doesn't have to be a long-term thing either. It can be something you do as you get started, because then when you start to see what these portions look like, how you're eating throughout the day, these are things that you learn, and you might not have to do it forever. You might only have to do it periodically if you feel like your diet's getting out of handle and you need to tighten it back up. But it's really important, especially in the beginning, to make sure you're doing these things. So here's a common question I get. How many calories per day should I be eating? And that varies for everyone based on genetics, metabolism, age. I kind of batch those all together because they're connected. Your genetics and your metabolism, and also your age. Your age, as you get older, your metabolism slows down. Your genetics help determine your metabolism. That's a key factor that varies everybody. Gender is another one. Activity level is a huge one. Not just activity level and how you're exercising, but how active are you throughout the day? If you're sitting at a desk all day, or are you on your feet all day? Those are things that are going to make a difference. And also body composition, because like I said about people who have more muscle on their body burn more calories at rest than people who don't. So that's something that you have to consider. So when you think about just those factors, you can see why every single person is going to need a different amount of calories in the course of the day. Also, other health factors can be involved in that. For example, people with thyroid issues, things like that are going to determine and adjust. But if you have a medical issue, clearly you need to get seen by a doctor and have them advise you on the best nutrition protocol for you. A good starting point for women is 1,300 to 1,500 calories if you're exercising regularly. I like to say that is a starting point because you need to tweak. So for example, if you're a taller woman, you probably need more calories than a shorter woman. If you have more muscle, you probably need more calories than someone who doesn't have muscle. I like to say, let's start 1,400 calories is kind of the split the middle. So I would say average person probably start them at 1,400 calories. And then what we do is we track and we log, and then we see what happens. So are we losing weight? No. Okay, we probably have to trim back a little bit. Are we gaining weight? Yeah, we definitely have to trim back a little bit. Are we losing weight but we feel fatigued? Well, okay, we probably need to add just a little bit more because we are getting that goal, but we don't feel good and our body's not getting what it needs out of our food. You want to get to the point where you start to see physical change, but also you're feeling good, you're feeling energized, you're not feeling lethargic. That's key. Listen to your body and adapt as you need to. And that's something called biofeedback. It's those signals that our body gives us to let us know what's actually happening. And it's something that we often ignore because we don't pay attention to hunger. We want to starve ourselves because we want to be thin and we want to be skinny. But we forget that hunger is put there as a survival mechanism to tell us when we need to eat, when our body needs food to function. Never go below 1200 calories. That's kind of a golden fitness rule, because that's when you start to mess with your metabolism, is when you go into a mode where you're not getting enough food to sustain just your basic life functions like breathing, heartbeat, the little bit of movement you do if you're not physically active, those types of things. So try not to dip below that level. Okay, so we talked about how to get started, and I gave you some basic information about how to get going with a fitness program. Let's talk about how to keep going. And you can see me there after I'm done my Ironman with my thumbs up. Like, let's do this. Let's keep that ball rolling. So this is the other 50% of fitness, is how to keep going, because it's easy to get started sometimes, but what's really tricky is to keep that consistency up. So let me ask you if this sounds like you. You're going gangbusters for 2 or 3 weeks. Then life happens, or you get tired or bored, or you get bored, like I said before, or you just are unmotivated or lazy. Those are things that are very common in any routine. You can usually stay motivated for 2 or 3 weeks, but then when you get off that high of that new program, reality starts to sink in, life starts to sink in, and all of a sudden your goals start to change up a little bit, and fitness becomes less of a priority to you. So how do you stay motivated when that happens? Here are some basic ways that you can do that. Try new things. Like I said before, there is no one magic solution that guarantees weight loss. There's so many different things that you can do. Things that used to work before might not work anymore. You might have lost a whole bunch of weight 2 years ago doing this one program, but then you go back to it and you're bored with it, sick of it, and you can't find the motivation to stick with it. Try something else. They like to say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So don't do that. If something is no longer working, you have to change it. And don't be afraid to change it. It's okay to change things up. Another option is to get an active hobby or outdoor activity, something that you would not perceive as quote-unquote exercise. And this can be a total change in your whole exercise program. It can be something to supplement your workouts with, whatever you'd like. Rock climbing, snowshoeing, biking, hiking, swimming, all these things. And, I know some people complain about when it gets cold out and there's snow. Like I said, there's snowshoeing, there's cross-country skiing, there's downhill skiing. There are hobbies that you can do in all weather conditions that can really keep you active and keep you fit, and also keep you engaged and having fun. Another way to stay motivated is to start a new challenge or program. You'll often see these gyms doing 6-week challenges or 3-week challenges or 90-day challenges. Those are things that are excellent motivators, because usually you have the support of other people in the challenge. You also have the support of your coach and guidance, and you kind of have to buy into those challenges too, so you have that monetary motivation saying, well, I paid for this, I got to stick with my commitment. So that's a nice way to kind of get a fresh take on your fitness. Also, add accountability, because accountability is huge. I feel like it's one of the number one reasons people do not stay on track with their fitness, is because they only are accountable to themselves. And let's face it, if I have a choice between sitting on the couch and eating Doritos or going to the gym, I'm probably going to sit on the couch and eat Doritos, So have something that makes you accountable to your goals. It can be family. It can be sharing with your family this experience of let's all get fit together. Or mommy's going to really try to work on her fitness and get fit because mommy wants to be healthy for you. And then your kids see that, and it creates a positive example, a positive support system. You can use friends or workout buddies, make dates to meet at the gym. Say, hey, you want to get in a run at 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow? I'll meet you here. Things like that, setting up appointments, making dates. You're less likely to back out of a workout if you've got somebody waiting for you at the gym. And also, a trainer or a coach can be a great resource, because there's somebody who you're basically saying, I need you to stay on me because I know I'm not going to stay committed myself. And their whole job is to keep you on track with your program, so that can be a great resource. Another thing that is becoming really popular now is to pay yourself to hit your goals. And I'm talking about non-food rewards. I'm not saying, hey, if I go to the gym, I'm going to go have pizza after. That's kind of defeating the purpose. But you can set goals for yourself. Let's say you set your SMART goals. I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 21 days. And if I do that, I'm going to go buy that dress that I've had my eye on for a while. Things like that. That can be something simple like that. Rewarding yourself in a way, buying new workout clothes. Something that is not food related, that treat yourself a little bit. Go get a massage, things like that. Another thing that we tend not to do when our fitness goes off the rails is ask ourselves, why did that happen? And that means identifying and addressing obstacles. Do not become a victim of excuses. Well, my schedule's too busy, or the kids are going to all kinds of places and I have to taxi them everywhere, and then I just feel so burnt out when I get home from work. And you can make excuses endlessly, but the bottom line is, if you find that exercise is valuable for your health, you're going to prioritize making time and carving it out to do it. Use the 5 whys to determine what is actually going on, why you went off the rails, why aren't you exercising anymore? Because sometimes when we say, oh, why did you stop exercising? Because I'm tired. Okay, well, how do you fix that? I'm tired. That's such a general thing. But if you ask yourself 5 whys, and sometimes you don't have to go to all 5 whys, but generally speaking, asking yourself why 5 times is going to get to the root cause. It's going to get to that deep emotional thing, and that's the thing that we can attack with an action plan. So let me give you an example. I stopped working out. Ask yourself why. Why? Because I don't have time. Well, why? Because I have too much going on. Why is that? Because I feel guilty about saying no to people. Well, why is that? Because I don't want to impose. And then why don't you want to impose? Because I'm afraid of asking for me time. So you can see why we asked why 5 times, and we started with I don't have the time, and then we got all the way to I'm afraid to ask for the time. So those are they're related, but they're 2 very different things. And with the I'm afraid of asking for me time, we can address that much more specifically than we can with I don't have the time. I don't have the time is kind of just a blow-off blanket answer. But I'm afraid of asking for me time is something we can work with, something that we can develop an action plan for. This is a much more specific problem that we can solve much more easily. It can involve asking a neighbor to babysit your kids while you take an hour and go to the gym. And you could do the same for them. You can switch back and forth, that kind of thing. It can be asking for your family, asking for your husband or your wife or your significant other to step up for you so that you can do this for yourself. It's something that a lot of women do not do, but it's something that is so important. Another thing to stay motivated and stay on track is to learn to accept more fitness truths. These are a few more truth bombs that I want you to kind of wrap your head around, because they're things that I think we have a twisted take on and we use to think badly of ourselves if they happen. And I want to get these right out of the way. Your journey is going to be different from everyone else's. I don't want you comparing yourself to this person or that person, or the woman across the street, or the other woman at the gym, or even one of your friends who you're losing weight with together and they seem to be getting better results than you. Your journey is going to be very different from everyone else's. Remember, we talked about difference in genetics, difference in preferences, all these factors. You need to internalize that, and you need to focus on you. Remember what we talked about in the beginning with your goal setting, in that this is about changing your life. This is not about looking good for somebody else. This is not about doing it because someone's nagging you. This is about your journey, and you need to realize that your journey is going to be specific to you. You also have to understand that mistakes will happen, and they are a part of the process. They're gonna happen. Nobody is perfect 100% of the time. And instead of slipping up and beating ourselves up over it, we need to pick ourselves up and move on and not feel guilty, but just accept that I'm human. I screwed up. Okay, I'll do better next time. Occasional cheating is okay. That, over the long term, is not going to throw you off the rails. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit in more detail. But occasional treats or cheats, I even like to advocate in one of the diet programs we do at Girl Fight, regular cheating, planned cheating, because in moderation, the way we do it, it will actually help you get to your goals, and in a way that is not going to be a huge burden to you to maintain. Avoid setting yourself up for failure by striving for perfection. That's huge. Like I said, nobody's going to be perfect. So don't think off the bat, I need to be perfect with my diet, because if you enter any kind of diet or exercise program with that perfection, you are setting yourself right up for failure. And the most damaging thing you can do is give up entirely. is to say, oh, well, I really screwed up today, so I'm just going to forget it. I had too much to eat today, so I'm going to skip the gym after work. These are the things that over time, as they add up, derail you entirely from your goals. You have to acknowledge that it's okay to ask for you time to take care of your health. Remember what we talked about earlier with that 5 whys question. You have to understand that you need time to be a better person for yourself, for your family. You want to be able to be around to keep up with your kids. You want to be able to see them graduate, to see them get married. These are things that are important because it's about your health. It's about taking care of you. You cannot buy your health. You can buy all kinds of things in this world, but you can't, if you have a disease, you can't really purchase yourself to be disease free. You can medicate, but your health is something that you need to really guard closely, because you cannot, once it's been sabotaged beyond repair, you cannot fix it. You need a positive support system in order to succeed. This goes back to the accountability. This also goes back to feeling like you're not alone in doing this journey, feeling like you've got someone to have your back, because it is really hard when you start a fitness journey and your family's not on board, they're not helping with the eating, you have to feel like you have to make 5 different meals, one for each person. It's a very difficult thing. So that's why you need to find a support system, whether it's a weight loss club like Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig, whether it's a friend, whether it's a group of friends. You start a fitness group, Facebook group, where you just, blog about all your accomplishments and struggles and bounce ideas off of each other. Those are things that are really key to keep you motivated, to keep you sane throughout this process. And I'm going to tell you right now the 2 keys to successful long-term weight loss. They are the biggest, most important things you can do. Be consistent and have patience. Consistency and patience are the 2 top things that will make or break your fitness. And let's talk a little bit about those. This is what I was talking about earlier, about not giving up, about staying committed, about being consistent, but also being patient. They are hard. They are very hard to do. And that's why so many people are overweight, is that we want instant results. We want instant gratification. So let's talk about instant gratification, doing crash diets. So let's look at yo-yo dieting. And for those of you who don't know what yo-yo dieting is, that's when you get on a diet plan that's so aggressive that you lose a bunch of weight in a short period of time. And then as soon as the diet's over, you go right back to the way you're eating, you put the weight back on. So this is and this is not to scale, this is just a representation of what a yo-yo diet looks like. So if you look at where the starting point is, you go through these valleys and peaks and valleys where you're losing weight, then you're gaining it back, then you're losing weight and you're gaining it back. And let's say this is over the time of a year, start to end. You can see how much fluctuation happened, but then if you look at the end point, your weight really isn't in a different place than it was when you started a year ago. Now let's talk about the other thing. If you have consistency and patience, look at that. You notice that the changes are not as dramatic. You're not, maybe that person, you see that first little valley off the first initial weight loss, that person maybe dropped 20 pounds, you maybe dropped 3. And then they gained it all back, but you've still been losing. And then by the time you get to the end of that year, you can see that you have lost so much more weight than somebody who was doing these aggressive diet programs and really didn't get anywhere. Another thing you'll notice is if you look at that yellow line, it's not a straight line downward. It's not perfection. You notice that there's bumps up and there's bumps down, and there's times when you might go back to the previous weight you were 3 months ago. But as long as you're being consistent and you get right back on track, you are going to see long-term progress, I guarantee you. Recover immediately from any slip, and that is the key to consistency, is not letting a little slip derail your entire week, your entire month, your entire year. The damage does not come from a few days or a week off every now and then. The damage comes from consistent lapses in your fitness. That comes from saying, oh, screw it, I screwed up, I'll start next week. And doing that over and over and over again. Giving up is not going to solve the problem. You are not going to be in any better shape diving into those Oreos than you were not eating the Oreos. So I don't know why we feel like that's okay. You need to accept that in order to stay on track, you need to acknowledge that mistake and then move on and get back to your healthy eating. Try new things to keep you interested and motivated if you're getting bored. If you're bored of the same old meals, go online to Hungry Girl or Skinny Taste and get recipes. Try new things. Get a healthy cooking magazine or a healthy cookbook. If you want to try a new gym, try that. Get back on track. Do something that excites you and keeps you interested. And then get right back on track immediately. Not the next day or week, now. If it's a Friday and you went off the rails and you say, oh, well, the whole weekend's gone, I'm going to start Monday. No. If you went off the rails Friday night, Saturday morning is a new day. You get up, you do your workout, okay? If let's say it's breakfast on Sunday and you went off the rails breakfast, you don't sabotage your whole Sunday. Have a decadent breakfast, enjoy your breakfast, and then get right back on track with your next meal. And don't hope for perfection. I think a lot of us enter diets and exercise programs with our fingers crossed, hoping it's going to work, hoping it's going to be the magic thing that takes the weight off, instead of planning for slip-ups and planning for imperfection and planning for recovery from those imperfections. I think if you acknowledge that in any diet or exercise program there are going to be challenges, and then set yourself up for success when those challenges occur, you're going to be in much better shape than someone who just kind of crosses their fingers and hopes everything works out perfectly. Okay, so let's wrap things up and summarize a little bit what we talked about, because there was a lot of information on this video. I hope you got some useful bits out of it. What are your next steps? Okay, how to get started. Set your goals. Those SMART goals, those specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-based. Those are things that need to happen in order for you to have a grasp on what you're really trying to accomplish with your fitness program. And then once you have your goals, that's when you can make a plan, because your plan is going to be determined by what your goals are. How much time do you have? How aggressive does that plan have to be? And then do it. You know, we can make plans all day, but if you don't do it, what good is that plan? And then we have to tackle how to keep going, because it's not enough just to get started. We need to keep that ball rolling. Be proactive about identifying obstacles. Brainstorm the solutions that you need in order to overcome any challenges that you do find. And establish a support system that you can rely on when your own personal willpower is not as strong as it needs to be. Accept that things won't be perfect, and accept that any diet or exercise program is going to have those hiccups. And don't be afraid to change your plan if it's not working. Remember, if it's broke, fix it. You know, so don't be afraid to make those changes if you feel like you're just spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. And remember those two keys: stay committed and be patient. Those are the hardest things you can do, but in the long term, those are the best two things that are going to pay off. Let's consider this for a moment. We focus on long-term goals and we get discouraged. Weight loss, fitting into clothes, body measurements, how we look in the mirror. These are things we can change in weeks or months. Okay? Let's turn our focus onto short-term goals. How you feel, how you eat, how you exercise and take care of yourself, how you de-stress, how you sleep. These are things you can change today, in this moment. And if we divert our thinking from where we want to be in 3 months to how we want to feel today, that is something that can change our mood, change our outlook, change our actions for the rest of the day. It's just a simple mind reset that we can do. And then those things that we do today will add up over weeks and months to the point where we are getting to our weight loss goals. We are fitting into our clothes better. But those are kind of like long-term benefits of doing the daily things that you can change immediately. Focusing on how you're feeling, your exercising, your healthy eating. All right, if you have more questions after today, because like I said, I hope you got some useful information out of this. Check out our website, girlfightfit.com. There's a lot of useful information on there about how to get in shape, what our philosophy is, tips, things that you can do. Also, check out our Facebook page. We have an awesome community of women who are trying to get in shape and really stay on track. So check that out there. And don't be afraid to contact us if you have specific questions. I'm Amanda, and pretty much you call our number, you're going to get me. So give me a call if you have any questions. I'm happy to work with you. I'm happy to talk about your goals and see what we can come up with to get you there. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and checking out this video. Again, if you have questions, check us out, girlfightfit.com, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.